There are 5 types of coaches, and most of you have no clue what you are. But don't worry, by the end of this hour's episode, you will. It'll probably explain all the frustrations that you have with your players and that they have with you.
I'm going to be honest, Tyler, for the first half of my career, I was trying to be all 5 of these coach personalities. And I wasn't leaning on what my actual strengths were and what came natural to me as a coach. So today, I want to share a framework that worked for me, where I was able to lean on my strengths, get away from my weaknesses, and my teams got better, faster. I enjoyed coaching more, and as a result, we won more games.
Make sure you stick to the end because we're also going to share the biggest blind spot for each of these coaching personalities. I know that mine really hit home, as well as every strength, because each strength does have, just like the game of opposites in SAVI, every strength will have a negative impact on the opposite side. And if you don't see that blind spot, it's definitely going to cost your team.
Welcome to The Hours. This is a podcast for coaches at all levels who want to think, teach, and lead better. I'm Mark Cassio, joined by Tyler Costin, and we call this The Hours because this is where we get to deep dive and have real conversations and spend real time on the things that actually matter. You can get the show notes and tools from today's episode in our weekly newsletter, so check out the link below. Let's get into this week's episode.
Okay, Mark, why does knowing your coaching personality matter so much, even more so than your playbook and what type of offense or defense that you run?
For me, I can say I was able to just lean in my strengths and the things that I was not good at, the coaching personality that did not fit me. I was able to hire that on my staff or at least delegate those areas of my staff. So, the cliche you hear in coaching is like, get all the people in the right seats, the right people, right seats on the bus and let them do their job. I think this is the best way for you to focus on your area of genius and what makes you unique as a coach.
Yeah, I remember early in my coaching career, I went to a Tony Robbins event and I heard something, and he speaks in a very abrasive way at times. And he's like, you've probably been told to work on your weaknesses. And he's like, F that. Don't work on your weaknesses. Hire your weaknesses. And I was like, what? Hire my weaknesses? And he's like, yeah. He said, lean into your strengths. Once you identify your weaknesses, make sure you surround yourself with people that are strong in the areas that you're weak. And early in my coaching career, I actually didn't think I had any weaknesses. I was like, I got this all together. I can do everything, until I got to a level where I realized, oh, I'm actually not good at this thing. And that's when I had to really start to surround myself with people. And it's really, I think, served me even more in business than in coaching in particular, is just making sure that I find people that are strong where I'm weak and can cover my weaknesses. That's how you build a great team as well. Not just a team of players, but a team of coaches. So I actually think that self-awareness is probably the number one most underrated coaching skill. It is actually one of the compliments I remember. I think we all have compliments that we receive from people we respect that we remember, and it really solidifies who we're becoming. So there was an Olympic coach that also did some coach consulting that mentored me through my 30s. And we were sitting down over a meal. I still remember this. And we were talking, and she said, Tyler, you have unbelievable self-awareness for someone your age. She was older, so she thought, like 30 years old was young, right? She's like, for someone your age, you have really good self-awareness. It's like, oh man. And so she complimented me. I was like, man, I have great self-awareness. I need to lean into that. And then she smacked me in the face and she's like, and that's why I'm so shocked that you made such a terrible decision. And I was like, oh shoot, which is actually a really good leadership tactic. But
Did she actually smack you in the face, or the comment
smacked me in the face because I'm riding high, that I have great self-awareness. And then she's like, and that's why I'm so shocked that you chose to, well, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was something like I chose to do on court. She's like, because you came off like such an idiot. Anyway, so I think that it's really imperative to know our strengths and our weaknesses and to eliminate these blind spots, because self-awareness is a cheat code.
Yeah, I think too, just like leaning into what comes natural to you and what gives you energy in coaching. Like for me, we actually had this conversation yesterday. I love practice. I love planning practice. I love being in the gym at practice. Like that is what's life-giving to me as far as coaching. If you ask what I miss, is like I love just being able to like plan out a season. Like, all right, we're gonna this is the step-by-step process that we're gonna take in order to get better, and we're gonna build this thing the right way. And as we build it, we're gonna find ways that we can continue to improve it. So if you find yourself naturally, your energy goes somewhere naturally, that's probably your personality type. And on my staff, I think I was lucky to have different types of coaches to work with. I always had like an older, more experienced coach that was kind of the mentor type. I had really good coaches that connected with players. Their energy went into player development and just like kind of the hype guy, energy guy, and I could just be the steadying influence that just like had my hand in a lot of different areas, but really was more systems driven, I guess, whether that was practice systems or on the court systems.
Well, speaking of systems, and we're about to get into the five personality types right now, but speaking of systems, a few weeks ago, we actually offered up a video and a resource around the RDS offensive system. A lot of coaches have taken us up on that, so I want to offer it again. If you want to get this PDF, which is just a primer and intro into every layer, all 10 layers of the RDS offense, a video, just email me, Tyler at savvycoach.com. Just email me RDS, three letters, no spaces, RDS, and within 48 hours, I'll get you an email back with this free resource. Because what I do love about the RDS offense is, regardless of your personality, you can shape it to fit your team and your desire to play. If you want to be like a more aggressive team, if you want to be a more actions based team, if you want to be a little bit more honed in against a zone, if you want to be a little bit better against pressure, whatever it is, RDS is conceptual. And so it allows you to select from the menu as you go through all 10 layers and identify how do you want to build your team to fit your personality, to fit your players' strengths. It really is building your own puzzle, and we just walk you through it every step of the way. So excited for you to check it out. Okay, Mark, let's get into the five coaching personalities.
The 5 coaching personalities. Number 1, you have the teacher. This is the coach that is focused on learning and development. They break things down simply. They have a really good understanding of how to design a practice, how to maximize reps, give feedback, and their teams tend to get better over time because of the work they're doing in practice. The second one is the guru. This is the strategy and game planning coach. They're elite in X's and O's. They have a play and a counter for everything that the defense does, or they are the in-game coach that can make adjustments, and they always seem to dial up the right play or the right adjustment, whether that's on offense or defense. So they're focused on out scheming their opponents. Personality 3 is the motivator. This is the energy and relationship guy or girl. They walk into the room, you can feel their energy. People are drawn to them. They build strong relationships with their players and their staff, and they just set the tone. They create buy-in and connection and trust with their team. And then you have the competitor who is focused on that competitive edge or that toughness where they demand high standards, but their players always play hard. Their team always has a sense of urgency about them, and they're really resilient. And it's a team that you know it's going to be a dogfight, even if you're the more talented team playing against the competitor's team. And then last is the CEO. They are the structure, the leadership, where they lead the entire program. They're highly organized, they delegate, they empower their staff, and they're thinking long term. So they're more focused on building their program instead of making more short sighted decisions that may win in the short term. They're playing the long game. And these tend to be, I would say, your more experienced coaches, the ones that have kind of been there, done that, and maybe evolve into a CEO type.
Okay, this is good. We want your feedback. This is actually a great time for you to go to the comments and comment below, of these five, which do you think you are? The teacher, the guru, the motivator, the competitor, or the CEO? Okay, Mark, I'm going to guess what I think you are. And here's the reality: every one of us has aspects of all five of these, and you should see parts of your coaching personality in all five of these. But one is dominant, one is the most natural, it's your strength, and you probably identify with the most. That's why I want you to comment down below which one of the five. And if you really want to, if you really have trouble being decisive, you can say I'm the guru first and the CEO second. You can feel free to say that. Okay, Mark, I would say you are a teacher coach first. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, that's that really energizes me and drives me. I think some people would call me the guru just because I've done a lot of X and O. And then I also think one of my strengths is being the CEO, like structure, organization. So yeah, that's a really tough one for me, but I would agree. I would say first and foremost, like where my heart is, I think is a teacher, and I think as a result, I've been a guru and CEO type just because it's what the job demands.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say I am of these five?
Yeah, for you, I kind of feel like this one is I feel like this one's obvious, so I hope I'm right here. I think you are the motivator.
I agree.
Okay, good.
I thought you were maybe going to say the CEO, but really, yeah, I think I'm the motivator.
Well, you literally are the
Right,
CEO.
right. As a coach.
Yeah, as a coach, I've never seen you not have great energy. I've never seen you not be able to connect with a team or a player. I think people are drawn to you, and I think that is your coaching superpower.
Mm,
Obviously, you have all these other things, like you're below average in X's and O's, obviously. You're
obviously.
no, I'm just kidding.
No,
Uh,
I actually would say I might be.
no, I think that's actually I think that's one of your strengths is like what X's and O's win games, what don't win games, where to focus your energy into. So yeah, I mean, I think we all have a lot of these things, but yeah, picking one, I think pretty easy. You're the motivator.
Yeah, I no, I would agree with that. And for all of those of you out there, like, man, I'm not sure what the motivator actually is. I would say like the motivator is highly relational, and your players like you a lot. You might have the term players coach. I think all players coach means is players like you. Not that you necessarily just give them everything that they want, but yeah, they just like you. So we're gonna give some very public examples of what we think um, famous coaches might fit into these. Maybe we'll popcorn. I've written down a couple.
Me too.
Let's start with the teacher. Do you want to go first or second with the teacher popcorn?
I'll go first because
Okay.
this is probably going to be the oldest coach that we
Okay.
would call the
Oh,
teacher. This one's yeah. I didn't go current. I went all over the map. Did you do the
okay.
same?
I think so.
Okay. I have the teacher John Wooden.
That's
Uh,
good.
Yeah,
Yes.
like every detail, no stone left unturned, was like really emphasize like the basics with the most talented teams because I think that is what he loved teaching basketball.
Yeah, and full disclosure, to everybody listening, we want you to be a part of this, and we're building out a coach personality test and corresponding resources. It's probably gonna be a few months in the making, and we would love your help. Is any like drop a comment? We're gonna put your comment into our overall database. Like, what are we missing here? Is there a personality type that isn't captured here? What's one of these personality types missing? What's a description? If you identify with one of these personality types, what's your motivation? What really juices you up? What frustrates you? And we can just put all that information in to our robust quiz. And like, we want to help people lean into their strengths, identify their weaknesses, and know what do they do next. So please help us out with this. This is what we're building out right now. Okay, I'll go with the teacher. I'm with a pro coach. I feel like Eric Spolstra fits into this teacher coach.
Okay.
You had him somewhere else?
Yeah, have him somewhere else.
Okay, that's good. I think this will be good. Who else do you have?
Jay Wright.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Would you put Brad Stevens in here? Even though he has kind of shifted into that CEO role now, but as when he was coaching?
I actually have him somewhere else too.
Okay, I like that. So,
Yeah.
would you put Tony Bennett in guru or teacher? I was struggling between those two.
I thought of him as a guru.
Yeah, okay.
But
All right.
I think teacher guru, there's a lot of there could be some
There's a lot
overlap.
of overlap.
Yep.
There's a lot of overlap. For me, I just put Eric Spolstra in teacher mode because I've been at, you probably have as well. I've been at two separate coaching clinics where he's presented, and just seeing him, and that is teacher mode, right?
Yeah.
But just seeing him with players, like he would stop what he was presenting on and like teach the player the read. And he was like, he forgot about the hundreds of coaches watching him. And I just saw him go into teacher mode in that moment. And of course, we all have that mode, but it just really seemed like that juiced him up.
Yeah. You said something you referenced this earlier, so I'm just gonna double click on it. You talked about how he was at a coaching clinic, so he's in teacher mode.
Yeah.
I think you have all 5 of these personalities present, or maybe 3, 4 of the 5, if not all 5, and I think it just depends on what level you're at, what seat you're in. You know, as an assistant, you might lean more into being the guru or the motivator, but as the head coach, you might just by default be more of the CEO type. I'll give you a quick example. I'm coaching a 14 UAU team this spring. And for our members, I'm documenting the journey. So I'm mic'd up at practice. I'm sharing practice plans. I'm sharing film breakdowns that I'm doing for the team. And I find myself just being so much more relational, like motivate I'm like the motivator now. I'm like, "Hey, that's okay. That was amazing. I love that." And then I'm like thinking about the team and I'm like, "Hey, I wonder if she has any brothers and sisters." And like sometimes like when you're coaching, you're just like, "All right, what's the next thing we have to do to win?" So anyway, I'm probably more the motivator, connector than I've ever been in my current coaching seat. Okay, I'm gonna give you two more teachers just quickly. I would be remiss if I did not mention my friend Doug Novak, one of the best teachers of the game, just highly detailed. And then another one, I don't know, maybe you have him somewhere else. I had Joe Mazzulla. I
Okay, I
feel
didn't have
like
Joe Mazzulla anywhere else.
okay,
Um,
I struggled where to put him, and I kinda just was like, "You know what? I think he's earned a spot, just got so much respect for him," and I feel like he's been, like, buzzing lately and getting the credit that he deserves, so I put him as a teacher just 'cause I just have so much respect for him as a coach.
yeah, and react to this. The absolute best coaches are all of these the most. Whereas the weaker coaches or the newer coaches, they have trouble stepping outside of their lane. You know, would you agree with that? Disagree with that?
I would agree with that, but I think another part of it is they try to be one of these things that they're not. I know for me, like, I tried to be like the competitor, like, my teams are gonna play, like, just so hard. Like, my teams did that by I mean, the teams that played hard when when we had it right, we did it, and I didn't have to, like, really focus on that. It was just the environment we created in practice. The practices were competitive, so we got the competitor. I didn't have to be that guy.
Yeah. Okay, well, we just talked about competitors, so let's go to competitor. So, we're gonna skip ahead here. So, I think of at the pro level, I think of Tom Thibodeau as that coach. Did you have that one?
I had that one. Yeah, that was my
I mean,
only
you
pro
just
coach
hear him
I had.
screaming from the sideline, and so I think, some people might see that screaming from the sideline as the motivator. That's not how we're defining that. We are defining this more as a relational motivation, bringing out the best in your players. And while, some players, like, love to be screamed and yelled at, that's not the savvy way of doing it. Like, that's more extrinsic motivation, as opposed to, we see the motivator as an intrinsic motivator. They do it through relational, through mastery, through getting helping uncover people's whys. And I think that's kind of how you did it, Mark. The competitor one, is like, they, to a fault, want to win, and they will step on child skulls in
Yeah.
order to do so. They're just, like, so fired up. That's what I'm thinking there. Would you put Shaka Smart in the competitor mode?
Yes, I had Shaka Smart. He was my last addition in there because and it I think this is kind of the anti like, the other side of the competitor than
Yes.
Tom Thibodeau. Like, Tom Thibodeau is the in your face. Speaking of screaming at people when they come to the sideline, I had Izzo and Pat Summitt in there
Yeah.
as competitors, but the other
I had
side
Pat
of it
Summitt I had Pat Summitt in there as well.
yeah.
This is the most is good, most overlap.
The the other side of it, I think, is Shaka Smart, where his team's just gonna compete,
Yeah,
and maybe I'm thinking more of the VCU teams, but I
yeah.
think he's doing a great job at Marquette as well, where they're just gonna bring it every night. They're gonna play a physical brand of basketball. And then, I'll go one more just 'cause I've shared almost all of mine. Shout out to my guy, Will Wade. Just practices are super competitive, they're super physical, and he holds players accountable, like, he will get on you, but players love him. So he's got a good mix of like that motivator competitor, but I would put him more in the competitor category.
And with all of these, there's pros and cons to all of these, just like we're identifying here on the competitor side. And so what we wanna help everyone identify is, okay, what are the strengths of my personality and what are the weaknesses? Let me lean into the strengths and be aware of my weaknesses, because a lot of times these weaknesses, they're just stress behaviors. When a Tom Thibodeau feels stressed, like they might not win the game, right? It brings out a certain behavior that may or may not be beneficial to the team. Same thing as the guru, right? What's your stress behavior? You want to X and O the thing. So a weakness of the guru, which we'll go to next, is, okay, we're losing. I need to scrap everything we're doing offensively and defensively and do something completely different. That's your stress behavior. When in reality, maybe your team just needs to play harder and you need to lean into your motivator tool, right? Or maybe you need to trust what you've been doing and just simplify it a little bit. The stress behavior of the guru is to get too complex. So when you're aware of your negative stress behaviors, which is what we're trying to identify for you, you can shy away from it and allow your strengths to be your strengths.
Yeah, well, I'll add to the competitor one, like, I think burnout would be one just because like, your engine is just on go, go, go all the time,
Yeah,
and
it's good.
No. So guru, I agree, like overcoach, you might lack an identity. You're the guy that can see something on Twitter once and draw it up late game the next day, but your players have never practiced it.
Right.
Okay, so I think that all those are good blind spots for competitor guru. Teacher blind spot. I'm speaking from experience as being the teacher personality. I know for most of my career, I did way too many drills just because I thought that was the best way to teach. Practices can become too much of a clinic and not as much of like an immersive experience for players. And then I also think if you're a really, really good practice coach, I think those coaches tend to not be great in game coaches.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I would just add a tendency to talk too much and not let the rice cook. Like you'll stop practice too much. You'll stop the play too much, take the lid off the rice pot to teach something. It probably needs work, but it doesn't need work right now.
Yeah.
And I think probably a tendency towards perfectionism, which perfection can get in the way of improvement. It's like, nope, we have to get this perfect, right? And not able to allow for the mistakes that need to happen in order to improve.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you, as a teacher, you're detail oriented. So you see a lot of the details. So you wanna correct all the details. I remember 2011, I'm at a Division I practice, and someone's practice that I actually wanted to put as the teacher, practice went 2 hours longer than they originally planned, and it was because the coach was stopping on, like, if your hand was by your waist and it should have been by your shoulder, whistle. I mean, it was like, just every 30 seconds, if that, the practice was stopping, and it wore me out. I can imagine the players.
I've been this person. Gosh, I might be a teacher. Okay, let's go to
You are you're one of the best teachers of basketball I've ever been around, so,
oh,
uh,
golly. Yeah, this is good.
definitely.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
let's go Google. I actually put Nick Nurse in here.
that's a good
Um,
one.
yeah, I mean, he has a playbook as long as your arm, and he's also kind of like an innovator, as he's tried things at the NBA level that a lot of other NBA coaches haven't tried. Like he's ran more zone at times. He's done different defensive things at times. He'll trap a lot more. They actually will play around with the press. So yeah, I think he definitely is willing to try things on an X's and O's side that a lot of people won't. He also is like a stats junkie. He's an analytics guy as well. So I think that's what made me he really put him as a guru.
Yeah, I like that you threw analytics in the guru category. It's not something we talked about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spoelstra is very similar to Nurse, like, plays a little bit more zone, and then
Mhm.
this year they got away from ball screen,
Yeah.
action,
Yeah.
I think yeah, and I think he just dials up the right plays. Like, special situation, I'd put him against anybody in the
Yeah.
league.
Mhm.
This is actually where I had Brad Stevens as well, but
Okay.
I could he be a teacher, CEO? I think that's what makes
Yeah.
him great is he's probably strong in a lot of these areas. I'll give you one that is very relevant recent would be Ben McCullum at Iowa, former, Northwest Missouri State Division II coach, just wins everywhere he goes. I've seen lately he's been dubbed as like the point guard whisperer. And I don't
Interesting.
know if there's any truth to that or not, but yeah, just like good player development, but like puts his teams he plays really slow. He does everything he can to put his team in the best position to win, and they win a ton of games.
Yeah. Okay, where I got 2 names, where would you put them? I know we're kind of getting out. Mike Neighbors, our
I
friend
had
Mike
him under
Neighbors.
Guru.
Okay, that's
That was the one I didn't say because I thought you might say him.
okay, I also I was going between guru and teacher. I think those are pretty closely tied, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, here's another name. Where would you put Bill Self?
Gosh, this is so crazy that you asked that question. I thought of him in my head, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't know where he goes."
Okay, yeah, same.
I think I would if I would have had anything, I would lean towards Guru, but I didn't really know for him.
Yeah, I know because I was just going through, okay, well-known coaches that have been successful. I started there and then I just started placing them. And Bill Self, I just kept saying, go back to the bottom of the list. I'm not sure. I just feel like I don't know him or haven't seen enough behind the scenes of him.
Quick Bill Self story. I
Okay.
shared an elevator with him in 2007. So he walks on the elevator to we're going down, and so he gets, like, a really good view of me, lucky guy, and I had I had an LSU basketball shirt on at the time, and he just looks at me without, like, a blink of an eye, just says, "Oh, I didn't know they had basketball at LSU," and I was
Oh,
like, "Hey, coach." Like, I didn't have anything to say. I was like, "Touche," although we were in the Final Four in 2006. But, yeah, it was pretty good line by Bill Self. So, that made me think like, well, maybe he's like a motivator, connector type of guy, but I think his teams execute really well.
They
You've
do
heard
ex
about, like, their high-low stuff, and yeah, so I would put him as guru if I had to choose.
I'm putting Doc Rivers here.
That's a good one. Yeah, I wouldn't put him as a teacher guru. I'd put him either a competitor or motivator.
Yeah, which I think we're seeing those as fairly closely tied as well, with maybe a little bit more
Yeah.
emphasis on where they I feel like he relationally really attempts to develop relationships. Now he's had some rocky ones as well, but usually when he first goes in, he's all about he develops relationships with stars. That's kind of been his thing in the past. Okay, give me. Do you have one for motivator?
I do, and I bet I have one that is on your list. You want me to say it?
Yeah,
Buzz Williams.
that wasn't on my list, but that is 100% accurate. That's where I didn't even put him on the list.
Yeah, that was one. Okay, here's another one. Ooh, I'm interested to hear if you would put this coach in a different category, Steve Kerr. He could be a guru.
Gosh, where would I put Steve Kerr? I would actually put Steve Kerr, surprisingly, on the CEO category for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it delegates, lets people.
I just feel like he's pretty hands off. Like he just kind of puts people out in the environment and tries to get the right mix, and then he's just kind of. I mean, how he's handled Draymond Green
Yeah.
is very much CEO.
There's probably a very small amount of coaches that could have coached Draymond Green for that long.
Exactly. And most of them would have said, "Get him out of here." I feel
Yep.
like you have there because you're not motivating Draymond Green.
Draymond has given me Rasheed Wallace vibes.
Oh, big Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
yeah.
going to go on a limb here and say I think it's over for this version of the Warriors. I think it's time to move on. Um, I don't think you can move on from Steph Curry unless you just want to do him a solid, but I think it's time to move on from Draymond Green.
Is it time to move on from Steve Kerr?
No.
Okay, and I saw something, I don't know where it was, an article, Twitter, that it said, if oh, it was about Todd Golden, who's the Florida coach. He was at San Francisco before, so has been in the Bay Area. It said, if the Warriors fire Steve Kerr, they're gonna look at Todd Golden. I was like, "The Warriors fire Steve Kerr?" Like, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was the thing, but
Steve Kerr is the second most popular player on the Warriors team behind Steph Curry.
I know.
Uh,
Um, okay, motivators, Dawn Staley, which is,
I put Don Staley. Okay, I had Don
yeah, yeah,
Staley.
yeah. Kim Mulkey too. Actually, you know what? Kim Mulkey, that's competitor. I missed
I
on
was
that one.
thinking competitor for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's better. Alright, motivator, Eric Musselman.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. We've agreed on more names than we've disagreed on. So that's at least telling me that I think we're on the right track with these personality types.
It also tells me that these people are where they are because they know who they are.
Going back to the main thing of the whole,
Yes, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, yeah,
know who
you're
you
gonna
are, know your strengths. You can develop these other
exactly.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
And you coach to
Okay,
your strengths. If you coach to your strengths, your teams will be more successful. You'll go, wherever you wanna go easier because you're leaning into what you do well. I'd say drawback for the motivator, teams might not execute all that well. Like, you might put X's and
I
O's.
actually think they're
Okay.
pretty weak system-wise. I mean,
Yes.
I watched love you, Don Staley. I've watched your team play offense. I'm like, do you teach spacing?
Yeah.
Um, like,
Yeah.
I've seen Doc Rivers teams play. I'm like, is that shot okay to continue to shoot? Like, I'm like, what are you even trying to do? I have no clue what type of basketball, Doc Rivers is trying to get their teams to play.
You might disagree with this one because I don't know how
Yeah.
sold I am on this one either. Because part of the motivator is the connector piece, the players coach piece.
Yeah.
But I also think if you're just a rah motivator, like you're just like, we're gonna play hard and we're gonna win this game with the pregame speech, which I would not recommend. Uh, then you could blame your players when things don't go right because you
Yeah.
lack systems, you lack organization. You're just like, hey, we're gonna show up and play harder and win. Maybe that's more competitor, but there is some overlap there.
Yeah. I also think that you can lose the locker room as the motivator too. It's a double-edged sword. Like you gain trust quickly, but because you lean so heavy on the relationship, when things aren't going well, that's kind of the first thing that players might start to doubt as well. Which is why I actually think you see more motivators with long-term success at the college level than the pro level because you're cycling players through a little bit faster. They're younger, and I think younger players do gravitate towards the motivator more, whereas adult professionals are like, all right, I'm a pro. Okay, I know how to show up and play hard. I'm paid to do that. I don't need you, rah on me to this thing. Okay, where would you put Phil Jackson? I know we immediately go to guru because of like the Zen
Triangle
thing.
and yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I actually feel like I might put him in motivator.
I don't disagree with that. I did have him on my list. I didn't feel super strongly I had him under CEO,
That's
only
actually
because and really I did it because CEO for me became like, who's really good at kinda everything, you know? I don't know. So, like, for Phil, I thought guru because the triangle. I thought motivator because, like, who else similar to Kerr and Draymond, who else could coach Dennis Rodman and get the most out
yeah,
of him like that?
and Michael Jordan.
And Michael Jordan, yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, well,
Um,
let's shift into CEO then. I think we're gonna have two of the exact same names just because this is the last category, and these are incredibly popular coaches, and we haven't named them yet.
do we wanna say it on 3?
Which one? The pro coach
Nope,
or the college coach?
I've got a college coach.
I've got a pro and a college coach. You want to do the college coach on three?
Yeah,
Okay. One, two, three. Coach K.
Coach K.
Oh, you were. Oh, shoot!
Yeah.
I said it fast.
That was like the ultimate that was the very first one I wrote down for CEO. Highly
Mhm,
organized,
mhm,
always had his staff dialed in.
mhm,
Yeah, just, knew they were gonna be prepared, knew they were gonna play the Duke brand. So yeah,
mhm.
like prototypical CEO.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you think I have as my prototypical CEO at the pro level?
Greg Popovich.
You are correct. You are correct.
Okay.
Did you have yours?
I didn't write him down,
Yeah.
but the thought went through my head, but I wasn't sure on him, but knowing you, I figured that would have been yours.
Yeah, he's my guy. Actually, shout out to I don't know the name of the person that made a comment. We did a video on Popovich, and he's like, "Oh, thanks for the information on Pop. He's one of my all time favorites." So, any others that you would put in the CEO category?
Gino Auriemma I had,
Yeah, yeah, that's
I just
good.
feel like he's kind of like a competitor, but he also is a motivator, he's a guru, he's probably a great teacher. So CEO kind of became my catch-all, but I do think there is a certain personality of CEO. Not a basketball example, but I think Nick Saban became a very good CEO in his career.
Where would you put Bob Knight?
Competitor.
Yeah,
But you know
he's
what? A
also
great
human
teacher.
too, right? And teaching,
Yeah.
God, I mean, if you're really successful, it's going to be hard to pigeonhole you. Honestly, like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, because the ones I mean, we've talked about, like, because Wooden, I said teacher, he could easily be a motivator. He could easily be a CEO, like pyramid of success, just had like the big picture in mind. I think the best coaches probably have 3 of these as strengths.
yeah, yeah.
I think that
Gosh,
this is probably more of like a pie chart than like
yes,
a sliding scale for
yeah.
coaching.
It's probably like, hey, what's my one, two, three, four, and five?
Yeah.
And all right, sneak peek behind the coach personality test that we're going to be rolling out here. You're actually going to um, get your results as a list and a percentage. Right. So like what is the greatest percentage down to the least percentage of your overall 100% of who you are as a coach. And, I'll share one other really powerful idea that I actually, when I did one of these personality tests and it came out as a pie chart as well. And the image was, okay, you need to be aware of and even build up your weaknesses because as you roll through your season or roll through your life, anywhere where you're weak, right, where that pie chart comes in, it's going to make it bumpy. If you don't have this skill, you're going to hit some bumps. Whereas when can you build that up, then you can kind of, that wheel can keep kind of rolling because you don't have any gaps that are going to be exposed. And that image just always really stuck with me. And I hope that this exercise has helped you do two things. One, recognize your strengths and your identity so you can authentically lean into it. You have gifts as a coach. It probably fits into one of these five categories. Don't shy away from it. Two, that gift has a corresponding weakness and blind spot. And hopefully this same exercise has helped you identify that blind spot and that weakness so that you can cover it. Cover it with development, cover it with who you surround yourself with, cover it just with awareness and honesty with your team. Hey, when I'm stressed, I kind of lean a little bit too much on screaming and yelling. I just want you to be aware of that and help me out with that because I'm gonna do my best, but that's what happens when I get stressed. And I think that really the outcome is trust. When you are consistent and do what you say you're going to do as a leader and a coach. And when you share your weaknesses vulnerably, it builds trust. And that's what championship teams are built on. They're built on trust. The moment you lose trust with your team and with your players, that's when things go off the rails. And I think that when you can lean into who you're supposed to be and be authentic about your weaknesses, it's just going to build trust and everything else is going to work better. And that's what I hope you get out of today.
Yeah, this was good. I was just gonna rank myself real fast. I would go teacher, CEO, guru, motivator, competitor,
Mm,
which, I was just thinking of my teams talking about, like, identifying yours and knowing your blind spot.
hmm
The feedback I got from my players at the end of the season when I gave them a Google form that we would send out is, "You're too competitive," and I just ranked myself as 5th in competitor, uh,
mm.
but I guess that's a good thing. It came out of me in other ways, I guess.
I'd probably go motivator, CEO, teacher, competitor, guru.
Guru last. Yeah, I
That's,
mean,
I don't
it
know. It's hard.
it was hard for me to put competitor last. I'm just thinking of, like, I just don't go into practice like, "Ah, we're gonna get after it," and,
Get
like,
after it. I
yeah,
don't do
like
that either. Yeah.
yeah, but we still practice hard. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain that. It's just yeah, I think it just comes out in the wash. Like, it's a byproduct of the way we do things because 'cause we're games-based, we're competitive, like, we compete at practice without me having to be rah-rah and yelling and screaming at people. Have I been that coach before? Yes, but, I think that's a good example of being the coach your team needs you to be at that time. Time and score, situations, phase of the season, I could be the ultimate competitor if I needed to be. We're just talking about, like, kinda where you default on a normal day. So, alright, this was good. This was fun.
Three,
Hope y'all
three,
enjoyed
three
it.
quick reminders before we go. One,
Oh,
if you didn't already and you've listened all the way to the end, drop in the comment below which you think is your number one of the five. We've got the teacher, the competitor, the motivator, the guru, and the CEO. Okay, I'm really learning these. I was able to rattle those off. Two, if you want this RDS PDF, just email me, Tyler at SAVIcoach. .com and just put RDS in the body. We'll get that over to you. And the last thing, please just share this with somebody. Just click that little share button. If you don't already subscribe, please subscribe. It helps us. Just share it with another coach. It will probably help them. It will help us. And until next time, stay savvy.
good having